All right, sit on some elevation to the hips, cross your shins, flex your feet deeply underneath each knee so the thighs elevate slightly. Press the hands on the thighs, lift the spine up, drop the shoulders down, but keep the lift of the spine as you exhale. Press the hands down again, lift the spine up. Take that deep breath in, exhale, draw your back ribs in, side rib forward, front rib up. And relax your hands and your thighs, palms up or down. Eyes closed, chin tilted up slightly, keep your feet flexed. Start to breathe. Start to draw a little deeper inhale in, a little longer than the inhale out. So just even sitting in quiet for a few moments, being aware of you. Being aware of what you're feeling, physically, mentally, emotionally. So when we start the practice today, no matter what it is, we try not to hold back any part of ourselves from being affected by it. And I say that because there are things that try to keep us off the mat. I'm not saying there's some great invisible force of good or bad in this, but what I am saying is that we all have distractions, difficulties, fears, or whatever that, we just keep doing those things or letting those things define, and we just can't find our way onto the yoga mat. They don't want to be changed. But then when we get on the yoga mat, we have the choice to lock those away, make them be quiet, but we shouldn't. We should let them come up on the mat because that's how you get rid of them. That's how you work through them. We can work on the positive things that are you all day, but we also have to work on the things that we want to change, that need to go. Because if something's stopping you from doing your practice, whether you're distracted by work or little things, or you have fear about your body, or am I doing it right, or am I not doing it right, whatever it is, those things are going to be true across too many other things, not just yoga. I'm sure every single one of us can think of something that has kept us off our yoga mat, that's kept us from doing other things too. So my friends, when those things may come up that want you to get off your mat, get out of the poses, get away from it, when those come up, don't get off your mat, but stick with it, but really explore what's there, what's trying to get you off of this, what doesn't want to be worked on. Because those are the things that are going to make your practice long-term, once those change. And it's not about you being smarter or more strong-willed or anything like that. But it's about a willingness and a love to look at oneself and go, this has gotten me to this point, but it doesn't work anymore. Now it's time to change. And all the stuff that comes with that. So whatever comes up for you, put it in front of yourself. Let it be the thing that's worked on by the poses. Don't work on the poses. Let the poses work on you. All of you. Bring your palms together at the chest. Thumbs touch the sternum. Blow them shortly 3 times and begin. Take a breath. Om. Flex your feet. Om. Back ribs in, start rib forward, front rib still up. Om. Bow your head for a moment. Salute the essence of yoga inside yourself. Bring your hands into your lap. Let your head rise and your eyes open. So nice to see everybody. Some people have snuck in there. It's great. Caitlin and Ashwini and Sayu and Margaret. Everyone else who was here for the start. So stay in the position you're in where you're seated with your shins crossed in front of the other, and just note which leg is in front. And actually, you know what? Let's not do that. Cross your right shin in front of your left shin. Let's all get on the same page, roughly. So when you cross the right shin in front of the left shin, the foot under the knee. So you got to slide your feet farther across there, Barb. There you go. Yeah. So even just starting here, keep the feet flexed and stretch forward, taking your hands out onto the floor as far as you can. Now the hips may feel like they lift a little bit. That's okay. But as you stretch forward, just to kind of feel the pull of the muscle across the buttock bone. Since we do sit a lot, you know, the other day I taught a lot of standing poses to break that habit. So now we can work some seated poses to build good seated habit, how we balance our hips, things like that. One of the simple ways to rebalance the left to right hip muscles is seated forward folds like this. So from this action, as you slide the hands out, keep the feet flexed so it pushes your femur bones back in towards your hip. And just even for a moment, kind of feel the difference. Let your feet relax and hang. And when you lean forward, it kind of puts pressure in the knee and the foot. When you flex your feet and then go forward, it's interesting how much more the weight gets pushed into the glute or your pull. So take the pressure off the smaller ankle joint and knee joint and put it deeper into the hip itself by keeping your foot flexed. So your bones move back and then stretch out. Take both hands to the right on the floor, still stretched out away from you, and then walk them to the right as far as you can while keeping both hands on the floor until your rib cage is above your right thigh. Stretch your ribs out. Keep both feet flexed. And now notice your right hand is now out farther than your left hand. Slide your left hand out farther so you stretch the back rib, back muscle. And lengthen your chest out. Keep your feet flexed so your hip bones are moving back and down, especially that left one. It wants to come up. Just take a few breaths into it. Breathe deeper into the left ribs. That side stretched open. Take that deeper breath so you start to open up the back. The back body gets in this habit of being slouched down on the lungs and ribs. If you start to pick your spine up and start taking those deeper breaths and elongate, stretch that area out. So the next time you sit in front of your computer or your TV or whatever, you don't just automatically slouch back down into it. Give yourself a chance to feel it and work with it from this position. Especially that left rib cage. The right side's not doing as much work. This is a chance to really elongate that left. Open it all up. All right. Keep your hands stretched out away from your body. Take both hands to the left, sliding along the floor. And then walk your hands out a little bit and then slide the hand out on the right side further than the left side so you feel that stretch to the hip, rib, back, shoulder, and then take those deep breaths. Keep your legs crossed the exact same way. We're going to switch it up and do some other side stuff. But right now, just kind of see what the difference is left to right hip with the right leg in front. And again, just like I taught Tuesday, you know, when you get into the pose, do you blank out of what's happening in it? Can you still be aware of what's happening inside? Any part that you can see first, if you're feeling disconnected, look at your body, get something from that, and then go a little deeper. Get into the what am I feeling emotionally? What am I feeling mentally? And then let that come up before you. Sad can be sad. You can be sad in yoga poses. You can be angry in them. Just don't be passive in any aspect. Be active in all the growth of you, all three, mental, physical, and emotional. Yoga provides that in an instant. So in 1 hour, you're really doing like 3 hours of work, mental, physical, emotional. Bring your body back to center, sit your body upright, cross your shins, left shin in front of right now. Slide the foot underneath the knee, flex the foot, stretch forward. So again, with those feet flexed, try to push the pinky toe side of the foot down into the floor so the hips shift back. Start to move the flesh of the buttock across the pelvis, the left to right side rebalances. Take both hands to the left. Yeah, I said the left. Slide that right hand out farther. Feel the difference now with your left leg in front. And just let it work itself out. If you want to get into some of the more interesting seated poses, the more complex ones in the sense of it takes more mobility, like Padmasana or Arjunasana or any of those where it's very deep hip opening, you got to start moving that connection of the hip to the low back and rebalance it first, how each side is working or not. Lots of good practice every morning can be had from this. If you're a side sleeper like I am, if you just did this in the morning where your shins are crossed in each direction, you go center and then each side, with each shin in front, you're going to reset a lot of your hip to low back stuff that got thrown off by sleeping on your side or on your stomach or getting all twisted up. Recenting the pelvic structure in your low back is wonderful for dealing with a lot of long-term full day issues. Go to the right. Stretch that left arm out. Keep those feet flexed. A few more seconds breathing into the long side of the body. Don't have to be fast, because sometimes, like I've said before in classes, when you're here, it's not about just working the muscle, but you need to be in them longer so you can really see you can have that time to check in with yourself. Where am I physically, mentally, emotionally? Or you feel yourself getting pulled out of it whenever you think you find yourself starting to worry about stuff you have to do, dinner that has to be ready, songs or whatever you want to do. Look at your body, get with your emotions, and then start thinking about how you feel in other parts of this. Always reconnect to you, never check out. Check out a lot all the time. Right? We give our free time. We give our time to work and to social media and to study. This is you. Back to center. Bring the body up. Stretch both legs wide into seated straddle Uttanasana. Flex the feet, pull the toes back. Take the hands onto the floor in front of you. Now, if even taking your hands to the floor in front of you is difficult, like you're so tight that you fall backwards, it's okay to use your hands behind you, like on a block or on your bolster, and just lift and push yourself forward a little bit. That's okay. But if you can, just walk your hands out. Start to kind of elongate your... so when you start going forward, just even a little bit, even if it's your hands pushing you forward from the back or your arms can fold forward because your hips have that mobility, take a look at your legs. And just as we flex the foot and Sukhasana. Look at your feet and make sure they're flexed. But when you flex your feet back, the sole of the foot tends to point the same direction as the direction of the leg. If you were doing the standing version of this pose, the foot wouldn't look like this. This would be putting all of your weight on your inner heel and inner big toe joint. So try to turn your foot to face directly forward, the same direction your chest is going. So the foot has to curl in a little bit from here to in, and then pull the toes back. This will make the inner and outer thigh work harder like it does in the standing pose of the form. I know it's weird. It just takes a second to start kind of wrapping your brain around, like, you know, the lesson that the standing pose taught us is a position of the foot. When I was doing this pose a lot seated, you know, as you are now, I would just pull my foot back towards my knee, and I never could comfortably get my leg to elongate. But the minute I started looking at the foot move like it does inside standing, much, much better on my legs. Turn that right foot. And then really work each foot. One foot turns in towards the front, the way you're facing, better than the other, because they both want to kind of turn out to the ankle. Turn them in, pull them back. They really flex those thighs. And then you can walk your hands out as far as you want. But keep your legs flexed and your feet flexed in that way, so that your femur bones are kind of these stable balancing points for your pelvis to roll over. And so when you think about moving forward anymore, can it be from not your chest coming down, but can you move your pelvis and groin forward like they're lifting up slightly and rolling over that center point that you are? Yeah. I like to say, flex your hamstrings so hard that your buttock picks up in the air slightly and your groin tilts down. And you might even, it's very hard to flex your buttock in this pose, actually, or to lift your buttock in this, but that is the forward folding action. All right, so whatever direction forward you are, take both hands to the right foot. You do not need to grab the foot, but just take both hands, one hand on each side of the leg, let's say. Work your left foot the same, work your right foot the same, and then stretch your left arm out a little further. So you're at least encouraging the body into that twist, into that length. Just take some breaths into that. Notice how the left hip wants to come out of the pose. Try to keep it down. Because remember, I've taught this before, parts going in two different directions, space, that's what we're here for. So as your left hip stays down, rooted towards the ground, your left side body, left arm elongates from the hip. And take a few breaths into that. All right, both hands to the left leg. Stay forward as best you can so that when you move across, you're moving a lot more of the muscle that connects from your outer hips to your back and from your groin into your back. That swinging from the forward motion really actually can help stretch out the QL muscles, the large muscles along your spine that often get very tight or imbalanced when we sit crooked. Foot turned in, toes pulled back. Stretch that right side out. Keep that right hip pinned. Just kind of breathe into it. And remember, it's easy to want to check out and just think, oh, Dustin's going to say time and then I move. Every moment you're in this is a chance to pay attention to yourself a little bit, to learn something about yourself in this pose. So as much as it's easy just to go, well, Dustin will eventually let us out, every moment you can, look at your own body, check your feelings, check your thoughts about it. Not as in check, like keep them in check, but what can come up for you in this pose? What do you get out of this pose other than a tight hip, or recognizing your back's tight, your hamstrings tight, and a little shaky? All right, back to center. Bring your body up. Bring the soles of the feet together and the knees wide into Baddha Konasana. Pull the heels close. Push the feet together tight. Walk your hands forward as far as you can. Walk your hands out onto the floor. Your knees are way up there and feel a little tension in the knee or the groin. It's okay to prop them up a little. There you go, Ryan. Home pillow practice. Don't worry about pushing your knees down, but push your feet harder together, especially the big toe side of the foot and the inner heel. So you keep the inner thigh active so that you're stretching a flexed muscle. And I say this because it can sound kind of counterintuitive to what yoga is taught as a lot as, we're here to get you more flexible, or that may be what you're here for. But if you overstretch certain muscles, especially the inner groin muscles, it refers into your back. So if you take the groin muscle, the inner thigh muscle also, and flex it by pushing the big toe and inner heel together, and then stretch forward on that, you're not going to overstretch anything. And you're also going to teach the muscle how to be mobile while being flexed and engaged. That's a healthier muscle set than just say, well, when I'm totally loose, I'm just like unstable, flexible, or I'm so overflexed I can't move at all. We want to kind of make the two work together there. Walk both hands to the right, out over the right thigh with your body as best you can. Walk your left hand out a little farther. How's that feel? Push the feet together, switch the big toe and inner heel. Both hands to the other side. Elongate the right side. Being bossy. Huh? You're still very neat now. Carol's gone. Looks like he's my little. Hi. All right, bring your bodies up. Stretch both legs straight out in front of you. Janushirasana. Bend your right knee and take your right ankle across your left thigh bone, pulling the ankle as close as you can to the hip. Now, if you know you're very tight in the hip, hamstring, or back, use a strap around your foot. If you cannot grab your left foot comfortably, I mean comfortably as in, you can hold it for an undefinable amount of time. Use a strap around your left foot. Strap, belt, loop, scarf, whatever. Towels work. So pull that right heel close to your hip as you can, so the right ankle bone is center of the thigh, And then grab your left foot with whether it's a strap or your hands. I don't care which one. And don't pull down. So I want your arms straight, your left leg straight, and the right ankle over the thigh. I want you to climb your arms. If you're holding the strap, climb your arms down just a little so you feel the stretch, so you feel like you've got the pull in it. If you're holding your foot with your hands, don't worry, you're going to get plenty in this. Pull your chest back against that. So your hands hold the leg, but you're going to pull your chest and spine up any degree and try to lift both sides of your rib cage up equally. And as you pull back and you feel the shoulder blades pull down, lift your heart up into that space. And the more you work to lift the sternum up, like you're separating your belly from your hips, your ribs from your abdomen, and your shoulders from your neck from your shoulders, and your shoulders from each other, you're trying to separate yourself up in segments wide. And just hold that. Push your foot against your hand a little bit, or against your strap, like the foot's revving your gas pedal. Pull against that with your body. So this is a really good one for re-engaging the legs to be active when they're straight, instead of the bending over and going deep down into it. Mr. Angar did not teach the forward fold in Janushirasana until like near the last 10 years of his life, actually. This is as far as he had people go. It was always about the extreme lift and the extension of the spine to maybe the point you grab the foot, and that's as far forward as you went. All of this now work about going deeper, like he shows in Light on Yoga, you know, but he was a little older when he took those. And even other senior teachers, Arun and some of the others, don't do the forward down action even to this day. They just don't like it. Because there is something to be said about creating that lift and extension of the spine like this and engaging the leg. Because what it does is it pushes the bone of your leg, your femur bone, down into your hamstring and back against your hip. And your core muscles have to flex to lift you up out of that. There's even a bandha or lock that you practice, or you practice the 3 of the big bandha or locks in this pose, where you lock the jaw, you draw the abdomen, you flex the anal mouth, and you do all of that at once while holding this, and you're holding your breath in it. It's very interesting. It's called the golden lock. So we're not doing all the locks right now. All I'm asking you to do is, can you at least engage your legs to be long, push your foot into the strap of your hands, pull your chest back and lift it up against, so the ankle and the right hip, the right foot and right leg kind of press your left thigh down to help stretch it. And you just lift up. You lift your abdomen up out of the pelvis, your ribs up away from your abdomen, neck away from your shoulders. Shoulders go wide. Switch legs, please.
Dustin, is there a little back bend in this one?
A little bit. It'll feel like that. Because it feels like that because a lot of the times when we do forward folds, we try to round the upper body over, right? That's a tendency to happen. And in backward bends, we flex opposite. So what you're doing is you're tricking your body. Your legs are in a position that your body wants you to feel like it does this. So when you really pull against it, you feel like you're doing this super deep backward bend. But really, you're not. You're just actually straightening your spine out. Because this is our normal. And so this feels like a backward bend, you know. It feels like, but you're doing the same muscle flexion that you would in a backward bend. This forward fold can be actually very useful for teaching your backward bends to get better because it lengthens the spine and stretches those back muscles and teaches them how to flex against the round even better. So it's a good one like that. All right, left ankle and right thigh. Good question. Grab your foot with strap or hand, whatever you want. Don't zone out and just watch the tiny dog. He's trying to be a distraction. He's a troublemaker. He's a little chitty. Oh, I should have been his name. Yeah.
The answer to it.
So as you go forward, once you get a hold of it, pull up, take that belly breath, lift the abdomen up away from the pelvis, lift the ribs up away from the abdomen, neck away from the shoulders and shoulders down. Push your foot against the hands. And that's it. 3 distinct actions. The leg extends, the chest lifts, the arms pull against. And you hold for a while. It's interesting, we sit a lot more right now. We're a little more sedentary, being stuck at home as we are. But our seated poses only get harder. I used to think this was kind of funny. It's like, well, why can't I do? I sit a lot. I should be able to do seated poses way easier. No, not really. Because our seated action, our seated habits tend to be about collapse and compression. When 90% of stuff in yoga is very much, can you extend and move only on certain joints or certain muscles at the pose time, kind of shift things around. That's why these poses are actually very hard to do, and I think they're very uncomfortable, because once you're in them, there's a certain amount of muscle flexion, but it's not a standing pose. It's not as burning. It's not as intensive, say, muscularly. But there's a whole lot of other stuff that takes place, because these poses go against our daily habits the most. These are the closest to our daily habits, and they're pushing right up against them. Standing poses, you know, they help our daily habits of being seated too much, but they're not in the same form of our daily habits. A little bit longer, push the foot against the strap, take the deep belly breath, lift the abdomen up away from the pelvis, ribs up away from the abdomen, chest lifted. Okay. Just a lot. Not feeling. All right, up you go. Stretch both legs straight. Take your feet about hip width apart. If you cannot grab your big toes comfortably, again, use a strap around your feet. Strap, scarf, whatever you got. Strap. Fold forward, each hand grabs a big toe or the outside of the foot. I'll give you an option. If you don't like grabbing your big toe for some reason, it's all right to grab the outer edge of the foot. Today. So as you grab a hold of the foot, again, same action, push the foot against the strap so you feel the thigh flex. Pull the chest up, lift the abdomen out of the pelvis, the ribs up out. So don't pull back, pull with those arms, bend those elbows just a hair, even if they're straight and they just flex a little bit in that bend, right? They're just not locked, they bend the other way, and you pull your heart up. So you feel that deep flexion of the legs and up your back. And then if you want more, if you're holding onto the feet, instead of grabbing the big toes or reaching across further, you take your hand down the top of the foot like this to try and push that foot against that wrist to get a little bit more extension. If you're holding the strap, feel free to go a little lower into it. So you start challenging the back muscles to be engaged in this, and the hamstrings too. Work your legs. If you go down a little bit, the first thing most people quit doing is working their legs. How you doing? Good. Bring your body up. Bring both feet together. Legs straight. Grab your foot, strap or big toe or outer part of the foot, either way. Now the thighs are together, so squeeze them tighter together like Dustin. Push the foot against the strap to flex the length of the leg. Pull the femur bone into the hip. Walk your hands down the strap or get a hold of that foot and pull your spine up. And then once you feel lifted, you feel the abdomen lift, you feel the ribs lift. You can pull yourself a hair deeper, but don't lose any part of it. Draw yourself into the bend very elongated. Don't crunch up into the bend and then try to elongate compression. If your back gets tired when you're doing this, you're doing it right. Is your back getting tired? Keep elongating out. Feel the shoulders down away, feel the flexion of your back. If you want to go deeper, you really want to put the work in your hamstrings, you can bend your elbows wide to do so. But don't let your shoulders come up. Don't let your chest come to your abdomen towards your pelvis. Keep the lift. Just get a nice stretch out. Feel the action in the body, elongating out of your the old habits. Got to hold it long enough to get some feelings out of it. All right, exhale, up you go. Keep your left leg straight, bend your right knee, slide your right foot towards the body. Grab a hold of your left hand, grab the right foot, right hand grabs right knee, pull the knee towards the chest. I'll suffer with it. And just lift your heart. Keep your leg up. Keep pushing the foot into the arm or the hand or whatever. No matter what height, you could be like, good job, Lean. It's getting up there. Push the foot into the arm. Lift your heart up into it. The more you lift your heart, the more you're going to work down your hips and your back. We're going to be here a while. Now notice which rib wants to sink down into the stomach. So take a deep breath. Lift the abdomen up away from the hips. Lift the ribs up away from the abdomen so there's all that space. Shoulders down away from your neck. You're just in it, right? And then if you want to start checking out, back in, like look at your foot, look at your knee. What's working, what's not. Look at both legs. Look to your shoulders. Start looking at yourself physically, feeling it physically. Then the emotional stuff becomes a little more apparent. Is that trying to get you out of it? Then the story you tell yourself, the thought processes. The discipline is not to tell those things to be quiet, but it's to welcome them and to still work on them in this work. That's discipline. That's healthy. Take both hands, grab your right foot, one hand on each side of the foot. And even if it's only like this, push your leg out so it starts to stretch up. When you hold on to that foot, push the foot against the hands and then pull your chest up and back. Same action. Same as when it was down there on the floor. So you feel that stretch of the shoulder blades widening, and the more you lift your chest up, the more it's going to stretch the muscles under your shoulder blade. And the more your leg pushes, the more it's like it's trying to tear the arm out of the socket. Even if your leg doesn't straighten and your foot's just like here, you're at this degree bend, you still do a little bit of push to start challenging those shoulder blades, challenging the back muscle into the work. Belly up out of the pelvis, ribs up out of the abdomen. Breathe. Switch legs. Right leg straight. Pick that left leg up. Cradle it. Once you pull that shin up to whatever degree, you got a hold of it. Take that belly breath. Abdomen picks up away from the pelvis. Ribs pick up away from the abdomen. Hold it tight. And we're still here. The camera didn't freeze. Push the foot into the arm. Ribs up, abdomen up. Grab the foot. And you get the leg out to whatever. Even if it's just a little, even if the knee's very bent, you push that foot against it. Use your strong leg to push that leg against the arm. So the arms get that stretch, and you pick your chest up so you really work the muscles under the shoulder blade. Fine, good. Give it to them. Don't give it to them. Work that leg, not by trying to straighten the knee, but push the foot into the hands. Literally point the foot so more of that leg strength gets involved in stretching your shoulders as you lift your heart up. Oh. Almost there. All right, legs down. Good job, down dog. No, it's so different. Yeah, I do down dog. Hips up in the air. Don't make me teach you how to do down dog again. I don't want to see any tiny, narrow down dogs. So if you don't remember, you lay on your stomach with your hands under your shoulders. Come up onto your hands and knees. Do not move your hands or knees, and then lift your hips straight up into it. Straightening the arms, straightening the legs, stretching the hips back. And now even here with your heels slightly elevated off the floor. Barb, walk your feet back about. Walk your feet to the wall, Barb. Use that wall to help. Put your heels on the wall, Barb. Barb, walk your feet back to the wall. Don't move your hands, just move your feet. Put your hands back. There you go. So with your feet slightly elevated, take a deep breath. The arms are elongated. Push through the palms. And now, take a deep belly breath and lift your abdomen up towards your spine, away from your pelvis. Stretch your ribs away from your abdomen so your chest bone opens, and take a deep breath into that. Where you separate those two, your back muscles are deeply engaged to the length of your spine. Your head can be neutral. Your legs are strong. Everybody bend your knees just a tiny bit. And then lift your hips higher without straightening your legs. Use those strong thigh muscles to push your glutes higher up. I did. Keep the knees bent. Push the foot into the ground. Lift the hips higher without straightening the leg. Use those leg muscles to get deep into the pelvis muscles. And now take a few breaths. Again, some belly breaths. Move the abdomen away from the hip. Move the ribs away from the abdomen. And then when you can keep your legs super flexed, you feel the width of the hips, the length of the spine, then you can stretch your heels down and your legs straight, but don't sacrifice any of the other parts. Everything you do in the pose should create elongation. All the yoga poses are trying to teach us to be elongated. If you're doing yoga pose and you feel compressed, that means you're not engaging in the full pose. Be like playing 3 out of every 4 notes in a song. Yeah, you're. Sorry about that. All right, come on down to the knees. Good. Grab a yoga block or books or whatever you use as your yoga prop for backward bends. Grab a block, lay flat on your back, please. All right. So from supine position, remember, if you don't have a yoga block at home or a strap, see me after class. Let me know. Do something to help hook you up. Got to lead on some blocks. Amazon's actually got those back straps. They're still a little hard. All right. So once you're there laying on your back, I want you to place the block under your sacral plate at whatever height you are most comfortable with. So I prefer tall. Some of you might want flat because your back's tired. Some of you might want edge. But encourage yourself to push just a little bit. You know, if flat's a push for you, then that's good enough. But just get some height under your pelvis. Squeeze your shoulder blades together, dome the hearts. Now, feet together, knees together. Keeping your left heel on the floor. Slide your left foot away from you, straightening the leg out so the left leg is straight. When you straighten the left leg out, stretch the leg away from you. Don't become unactive in the pose just when the knee is doing the work. Push the foot to the other end of your world and then push the inner thigh down. And breathe. Right leg does not fall to the right, but stays in towards the center line of the body. Switch legs. We'll stop it. Both legs straight. If you can, if both legs hurt your back, it's okay to do one than the other, but try to elongate each leg equally, moving the inner thighs down, stretching the legs away from you, doming the heart. You get the full extension, you let this psoas muscle stretch, the back stretch. All right, bend the knees, lift the hips up off the block, slide the block away, slowly lower your spine to the floor. Keep the knees bent, let your arms relax out to both sides. Pick up both feet up off the floor so the knees are above the hips. Take both legs to the right. If your knees can go lay on the floor, your thighs lay on the floor comfortably without your shoulders coming up, great, do that. Twist to whatever degree you can so you feel the back start to stretch. Now, that doesn't mean that you're wrong if your legs don't auto lay on the floor. Your hips or back are tight. Only go as far as you can when the shoulder stays to the floor and you feel the back and the hips start to stretch. And then pause and just breathe there for a few minutes. Twists don't have to be extreme, just make them active and focused, just like every other thing you're doing here. Legs up, legs to the other side. Only go as far as the shoulder stays down. You can maintain good twist rotation. All right, bring the body up. Stretch your legs out, let your eyes close. If you would like a bolster under your knees or blankets or whatever neck support you want, now's the time to get it. Or if you just want to lay flat, lay flat. Let your eyes close, my friends. Connect with your breath, the work you've done. And just even here, even though it might be easy to want to disconnect and just drift off, stay present. Use your other senses for what you're feeling, what you're going through, and how your body feels about that. And create for yourself that same focus here in rest, that same discipline, that same presence, so that ultimately you live a life present in all of your life, the past, the present, and potential of the future. That your growth is limitless. And rest, my friends, and enjoy the fruits of your yogic practice. Slowly increase the depths of your breathing. Stretch the arms overhead, lengthening through one side of the body and the other. When you're ready, roll to your right side. Press your palms into the floor and slowly up you come. Namaste. Have a nice day. If you have any questions, feel free to stick around.